right here, brand new 2021 Ford Ranger Trimmer Edition. A little bit different than your regular Ranger. So let's check it out and see what's different about it. All right, so starting off, what you can tell right off the bat was different with this Ranger than a regular Ranger, non-Trimmer Edition. You got this graphics package like on the Bronco. Some may like it, some may don't like it. You've got these General Grabber 31s. Kind of wish they were maybe like a 33, but they look good. Gives it a little bit of a more of aggressive look. You got a strut set up right here. You got, obviously, it's independent front suspension. You've got these fixed tubular side steps that come with the Trimmer package. You've got Fox shocks in the back, if you can see that. And aside from that, that's basically what gives the Trimmer Edition its difference, is basically the suspension with the bigger, more aggressive tires, tubular side steps, stuff like that. And obviously, if you get the graphics package, just tells people that you have a Trimmer Edition. Moving around back, you've got about a 1,400 pound payload capacity now with the Trimmer Edition. It's dropped by like 30 or 40 pounds with the off-road suspension, but you don't lose towing capacity. You can still tow 7,500 pounds just like every other Ranger, which is pretty respectable for the smaller, SUVs. I think that's pretty respectable. Powering it is a 2.3 liter turbo V6 that makes 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque through a 10-speed automatic. It's pretty smooth. The one thing that I will say that I would kind of still wish that they would fix is the tuning with the transmission. It continues to try to be optimized too much for fuel economy, which the fuel economy drops on the Trimmer Edition because of the bigger tires and whatnot to down to 19 miles to the gallon in the city. But it still drives smooth. It's just that it wants to upshift really quickly to try to optimize for fuel economy, and it's just kind of herky-jerky every now and again when you're especially pulling grades. But it tends to, if you put your foot in it, it downshifts properly to the right gear. It's just it upshifts really quick. So I wish there was a way you can kind of keep it in the power band a little better on its own. Maybe if you put it in the sport mode, possibly. Stepping inside, you got an all-black interior. You got these Trimmer seats that are leather with some Alcantara down the center bolster and down the back. It says Trimmer obviously on the back. Now these aren't fully powered seats. You got power fore and back, which this is as far back as it sits. Now, like my dad was saying, the only downside to these smaller SUVs is you don't have quite as much room, obviously, as you would in a half-ton truck. So like this is as far back as the seat goes, and I'll show you, it's not a lot of room. You've got lumbar support, but you only if you have a manual seat back adjustment, which is interesting. Stepping inside, my dad must have drove this thing because he moved the seat up. You've got half digital, half analog center console gauges right here. You have obviously your speedometer, which is analog, and you have gauges, digital displays on either side. Just like the Bronco, which is really neat, you got pre-wired auxiliary switches for all your off-road needs. You do have a Bang & Olufsen sound system. The steering wheel design's a little funky, but, hey, it's just a steering wheel. And then you go over here. I would like to see this screen a little bigger. Maybe get rid of this bezel right here, all this plastic bezel, move the hazard light somewhere, make this just a little bit bigger. This screen is not as quick as the one in the Bronco, which is fair to note. You have to really push the buttons pretty hard, push the screen pretty hard to get the buttons to respond. It's neither here nor there. It works good. You got your traditional SUV style shifter down here, which are plus or minus the shift. You've got two USB Type A's down here. You've got your four-wheel drive selector right here, which are what do they call this? Let's start it up. I forget what they call this. So if you hit this button, those are terrain modes. So for terrain modes, you have normal. Whoop. Let's go back to too high. Terrain modes, you have normal, grass, gravel, snow, mud and ruts, and sand. And just like the Bronco, it'll adjust to which setting you do for the four-wheel drive. And then obviously if you need to, you can go to 4 low. So let's go back to 2-wheel drive and go to normal. Then you also have, you know, your trailer brake. You have rear diff lock, traction control, auto stop start off, parking sensors, hill descent control, all your AC controls, everything. But the cool thing, I think, really, is that they kept a traditional pull handbrake. So if you kind of want to get a little wild, I didn't do it, but if you want to, you got a traditional handbrake, which is pretty neat. I'm gonna turn the AC on because it's warm in here. But aside from that, the interior is pretty simple. You have a manual sliding rear glass. The back seats are appointed just like the front. You have a pull down for cup holders. I'll get in the back to show you leg room. There is no sunroof in this one. You do have a sunglass holder. 2 12-volt outlets for charging. That's basically what's going on inside the car. Let's step outside. I'll open the hood so you can see under the hood. So I lied and said it was a V6. It's not. It's actually a 2.3 liter turbo 4-cylinder that makes 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, which is actually pretty good for a 4-cylinder. I don't know why I was thinking it was a V6, so that's my mistake. But it's a smooth running engine. Little baby turbo right there. I do like the red accents in the grille running along the graphics package. Again, not many people like the graphics. I think they look okay. You got your tow hooks down here. You got this accented graphite on the front bumper and rear bumper. All right, let's go into the back seat. So the seat is as far back as it would be for me driving. And to be honest, the legroom's not bad. It's actually pretty decent. Headroom is decent. So back seat's actually not horrible. And in the back seat, you have 2 USB Type A's, and then you have a 110-volt 3-prong, which is nice for charging laptops and such. But aside from that, the interior's pretty basic. Gets the job done, as they say. So for off-roading, you have 9.7 inches of ground clearance. You have 6.7 inches of front travel in the front travel in the front suspension, and 8.1 inches of suspension travel in the rear. Respectable, you know what I mean? It's very respectable for what it is. Obviously, with the lift kit and all that kind of stuff, you'll get more travel and you have more capability off-road. But the one thing I will say about the suspension, though, over the stock one that I drove last year, is that it rides very, very nice on the road. The Fox 2.0 dampers really are smooth. It takes up the road really nice. It hugs the road. It's not all over the place. Again, the fact that it's independent and has rack and pinion makes all the difference. Now, the price on this truck is fully loaded is just under $50,000. Now, the question to you is not half-ton truck worth almost $50,000? That's always been my question, because you can spend up a handful of $1,000s more and get a comparable trim packaged F-150 that has more capability of towing, more room, more power, so on and so forth. So obviously there's a market, and we know this, there's a market for these lighter duty trucks. But do you think that $48,000 is worth it in a Ranger? That's the overall question. So with that being said, I don't know. I'll let you guys answer. Ranger's cool. You know what I mean? It's weird to see how it's gonna be weird to see how obviously the Maverick comes in at a much lower price point than the Ranger, but they're doggone near the same size. So it's just a little wild. It has less capability, less power, this, that, and the third. But to see Ford bring in, another truck that's just a little bit smaller, is going to be interesting to see how they fit niche-wise into the market. So let me know what you think in the comments. I like the look of the Ranger. I like the look of this Tremor edition because it gives it a little bit more of an aggressive look. The question is to you, is it worth $50,000? Let me know. I'll talk to y'all soon. Catch you on the next one. Peace.